If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. For one, it's free. Two, there are a bunch of creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Not only that, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more places. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's really everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
How's it going, lovebirds? You're now listening to the podcast that brings you real relationship advice from real relationship experiences. I'm your host, Derick Brown Jr., and on today's episode of the Good Relationships podcast, we will simply just be talking about self-love and what that means inside of a relationship, in any kind of relationship, not just romantic ones or anything that it seems extremely personal, but any kind of relationship. It can be a relationship with your pets or a thing, your diet, your relationship with your diet and your health, and how self-love just really kind of involves all of that. It plays a big role and a big part in any kind of relationship that we have that's part of our life. So, how we do. We go straight into the topic, and I'll just start by saying, if you don't really have an idea of what self-love is, and I say that for the simple fact that self-love doesn't just mean love yourself. Like, it doesn't just mean love yourself in a way that whatever love means to you. Self-love is so important to the point where it not only means love yourself, but it means in the action of loving yourself, do what's always best for yourself. And I know you're thinking, wow, maybe you're very selfish in thinking that. And I honestly think that being selfish is the highest form of self-love. And I say that for the simple fact that when you are truly loving yourself, you most definitely have to protect yourself in ways that you never really thought that you would. You never really thought that you would make these kind of decisions or basically put yourself in positions where you could be hurt or any kind of situation that you didn't think that you would be in. Really saying, oh, I love myself. It's not just saying, well, I'm putting love into what I think is best for me, and I'm just going to do this, and I am not going to put myself in harm's way, or I'm not going to take myself away from this situation because it's hurting me. But it's kind of like, instead of just being involved with someone simply out of your character, just because you're a good person, because you love yourself in the sense of, oh, I love everybody and I want to be a good person, and that's what I think a good person would do. It would be saying, like, no, self-love is realizing that I most likely need to remove myself from this situation, because I'm not just loving myself in the sense of making others happy, but I'm loving myself in the sense of I need to protect my mind, I need to protect my body, I need to protect my peace. It's not just loving, just accepting that you're a good person in the sense of love, just treating yourself right. It's like, you have to really take responsibility, because it's deeper. It's deeper than what we think self-love is. And the clearest example I can say that to be is, well, when people believe in self-love, they're thinking, well, if I can invest in my health and just books maybe to increase their mental health, they may go to social activities or they may go to church for their spiritual health or whatever. Things that are improving their health versus self-love being, well, okay, I am eating these foods and I know that improving my health, I love myself to literally protect my body and my mental health from the bad foods that I am putting in my body. Not just because I love myself enough to do it, but because I have the highest potential of increasing longevity if I do this. I have the highest potential to spend a better quality of time with the people around me, and I'm not just investing into the books or the material or the people that can tell me about these things in terms of self-love that I need to do it, but out of self-love for myself, I need to actually put action into doing it. I need to love myself enough to put the action into reality so that I can show the fruits of actually loving myself enough. So I hope that kind of separates what I mean when I say, not just love yourself, but you need to love yourself. It's the same thing, but I'm just expressing that it's so much deeper than just saying, oh, I love myself. So, oh, I love myself. If someone's asking you, hey, do you love yourself? We keep it so much on a surface level that we're like, yeah, I love myself. Of course, I may love the way that I look, or I love this about my life and whatnot. But what I'm suggesting is that whenever it comes to self-love, that we have to really accept, like, hey, I love myself enough to give myself the best possible chance at the greatest future that I could ever have. And because of that, because I love myself enough, I'm going to most definitely love the way that I look. I'm definitely going to love the position that I've been placed in life so that I can have an opportunity to make the best possible life that I can. I do love myself enough to get out of bed and to, fight depression and to really take advantage of this thing that we call life and just try to discover myself one step at a time so that I can love myself better, so that I can become the best version of myself. And it's tough because, of course, it's easy to say that we may love ourselves when things aren't going good, not going bad. But in reality, like, there's going to be a lot of times where things aren't going good, especially with, like, everything that's going on right now in the nation. And we'll say, hey, I do love myself, but when things get tough, that's when you really got to dig deep and really love yourself. When the times where it's like, oh, well, maybe I don't love myself for this situation that is occurring in your life and you don't know how to deal with it, or it's just times are extremely tough for you and you never thought that you would be in this kind of position. Those times where you're really thinking, do I really love myself? That's where you really have to love yourself. And that's my point. It's like, even when there doesn't seem like there to be any love, even when nobody else is showing that to you, you have that responsibility to love yourself. You have to take action in doing so, because when those times are tough, you have to love yourself enough to pick yourself up during those times. You have to love yourself enough to still love the way that you look when things aren't looking how you used to look back in the day. You have to love yourself enough to still love your health enough to invest in your health whenever you don't have the necessary the ability to afford the same kind of healthy foods that you had, but you love yourself. You love yourself enough to find a way, to always find a way. It's so much deeper, and that's what we're going to keep getting into. Just the words loving yourself and the concept of doing so is what I'm getting at. It's it's a lifestyle to really love yourself, and it doesn't always seem and sound so happy. It's more so the idea that sometimes loving yourself won't look so appealing to others around you. The way that you need to love yourself in order to protect yourself to, produce longevity may mean, hey, maybe I'm not going to date for some time. Or maybe I am going to stick with this person because I know that this is the right person for me. It doesn't matter what guy or girl comes along who offers me anything better. I'm going to stick with this person because I know that it's the best thing for me longevity wise, and because I simply love myself to do this. Or it could be being that person in a relationship where everything is going good and you just get the feeling that you need to get out of that relationship. Nothing seems to be bad in the relationship and everything seems to be going good, but you just feel it and your body's telling you, hey, you love yourself, stay in this good relationship. And it's like, okay, well, I could stay in this good relationship and sure, things could go good, but you love yourself enough to listen to your heart. You love yourself enough to listen to your mind that's telling you, hey, this isn't the right relationship for you. And on the outside, that's going to look so ugly. That's going to look so just not good to other people because they don't understand that you're doing this because you love yourself enough to even take the action to do so. On the outside, they may assume you don't love yourself at all because you're giving up a great relationship, right? So, but they don't understand that it's so much deeper than just loving ourselves. It's like it can seem dark sometimes when you really think about loving yourself. Do you love yourself enough to just really commit actions that you never thought that you would? You may have to tough some things out that you don't want to tough out. And that could mean staying in a relationship that everyone is telling you that you should get out of. Just replaying that same situation, but switching up the roles. It's like now you're in a relationship that's not treating you well, and everything on the outside is telling you, hey, like, you need to get out of this relationship. But you're listening to yourself, you're listening to your mind, you're listening to your heart, and when you feel that deeper connection and your self-love is, hey, stick this relationship out, it's going to get better, or stick this relationship out for some reason, whatever it is, that's self-love to even take the action to stay in those kinds of relationships. So it can seem dark sometimes, but loving yourself enough to take those actions when nobody else understands is really the goal. It's the objective, because just naturally doing that, you're going to produce longevity. You're going to produce the feelings of happiness in your own life. It may not make sense to everybody else, but it doesn't have to. It's the emotional connection that you have with yourself to establish happiness, so that you can truly feel peace during out your days. And that's truly loving yourself. It's making sacrifices. So whenever you're making these sacrifices, just remember that there will be some kind of reward that comes from doing that, and it's going to be attached to the happiness that you have had imagined for some time, hopefully, or at some point in life where you just really thought about something that would make you happy, and because that's just going to playing through your subconscious, it gives you that opportunity to really make those things come to life. And you just have to take those actions, and you have to love yourself enough to take those actions so that you can really reach that image that you had, that image of happiness. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. It's just loving yourself, figuring out what loving yourself even means to you, and just really kind of looking at separating the word love yourself from the action of loving yourself, so that you can just really start to figure out what kind of actions will lead to that image of whatever you think happiness is, and not just accepting that loving yourself is as easy as just saying so. So I hope you all are staying healthy and safe. Make sure that you guys are practicing social distancing and just staying hopeful, not feeding so much into the negativity that they're promoting, but that's being promoted in the news and whatnot, but also looking for that hopeful and positive news as well. So that's all I got for you, lovebirds. Stay blessed, not stressed.